Well, I got the body of a Genesis, and I got the drivetrain from the Pontiac. Why not put the two together? And everyone was like, "You're nuts. Why don't you just go buy a Camaro or something?" And I'm like, "No, this would be cool." English Rob.
My name is James.
It's a 2012 Hyundai Genesis coupe. Back in the day when I owned a Genesis, I bought one back in 2012 when the BK2 first came out. I wanted to do stuff to it and everything else, but there's nothing available for this platform, nothing. I went around to a couple of shops, they didn't do anything, so I just started learning and doing it myself and getting it to where it needed to be. We had no tuning options, we had nothing back then. Back in the day, I had a 2-liter, had a big turbo and everything else, and it was fun, but it was stock engine. We limited out at like 480 at the tire, and that was fun for a while, but that was back when everyone was making that power, so it was a competitive car. This guy got me into V8s. I actually took a break from the Genesis for 6-9 months, something like that, and I actually had a Pontiac Formula, 1 of 14 made, and then I put it in the guardrail and smashed that thing up pretty bad. But we towed it back to the house and we looked at it all, we evaluated all, the motor, the transmission, everything was still good in it, so it was like, I knew the LS1 that was in the Formula was hurt, so we didn't end up using the motor, but we did use the transmission, the wiring harness, and the ECU. And I went and got another engine for it. And we put it in there and it was just an all motor, 6-liter. I think it made like 420 at the tire, on a stock ECU and everything else. So it didn't look the greatest, but it was up and running. And I drove that around for a little while. And then obviously, you go the cheap avenue and you buy nitrous kits. So then you went in and got a nitrous kit and we put nitrous on it for a little while. And again, that was fun. I went back to my fab guy and was like, "Hey, what about doing a twin turbo kit?" And he was like,
"Are you serious?"
And I'm like, "Yeah, come on, we gotta do a twin turbo kit." And he's like, "What are you gonna want after that?" I'm like, "No one wants anything after twin turbos. Like, that's the final one, is twin turbos." He knocked it out of the park with a twin turbo kit. And then we started turning it up. We got to like 850, 900 horsepower. Again, it just wasn't enough. So then it was like, all right, we need to come off this LQ9 motor that we had in there and was like, we need to do a fully built motor. So then I went and, built a fully built motor, and that's the one that's in her now, and just went balls to the walls with it. I did originally have an aluminum block 6-liter in there, and it did lift the head because we did the upgrade to the 1/2-inch head studs, which, you got to drill the block for that, retap it, everything else. And when we were tying it back down, it then yanked all the threads out. So it was just like, all right, we'll switch it back to an iron block. So I went and got an iron block and, did all the machine work that we needed to do and then rebuilt it back into the iron block. And that holds the 1/2-inch head studs just fine, and she's been great. She's been great. She's still built for more power than this. It's just, we're just working our way up. We only just got the extra fuel that we needed, so we got a fully built 6-liter Boost Lab turbos, 67, 66s. It's all been custom made. Obviously, there's no turbo kit made for these cars with an LS motor in it. So we went with a 6-liter, fully built, Monar crank, boost line rods, Summit pistons, which are holding up pretty well. Bullet custom cam for the car. We got a T56 Magnum transmission in it with a Monster triple disc, back with a Gulf Coast single-piece carbon fiber drive shaft.
So let's talk numbers. How much is this thing making?
Right at 1,200 horsepower right now.
Hell yeah. And how much pounds of boost?
23. We've had up to 23 pounds.
And I see you went with like a green engine bay and black kind of color combo. What made you want to do that?
Believe it or not, the original Fast and the Furious. Not a fan of the Honda Civics, but I love the color combination. It was black and lime green, that robbed all the trucks. That's what did it. That's what did it for me. And had that color combination since I had a Genesis. 2012 is when I first bought one. And I've always had that color combination.
You can tell this car doesn't play around when you see a parachute in the back.
We started hitting 150 mile an hour at the track, so obviously, it's a requirement once you start hitting that kind of speed. So motion race works, obviously, but we had to customize it to make it fit on the car.
How about we go ahead and hear this thing? Start it up for us.
Yeah, for sure.
interior you guys have going on in here? There's no rear seats, it's roll cage, no headliner.
So believe it or not, man, this car is actually like really close to just a factory driving car, other than the noises and everything else. Everything is it's a clutch assisted car, you know, it's stock diaphragm, it doesn't have like a slipper or anything in it.
And then you got the parachute lever here, and then I see you have a nice little switch dash up the top there on the roll cage.
Yeah, it's a ARC 8000 series switch panel.
Do you know how much this car weighs?
I think the last time we scaled it, I think it's right around 3,400 pounds of me in it. It's not a cut up car or nothing like that. It does have the seats and stuff missing, but there is no like real weight reduction, aftermarket anything, you know. We still make the power windows work and everything. So
compared to like stock weight, how much is stock weight compared to like the 3,400? Is it
3,400 pounds.
No way, really?
Yeah.
That's really cool. So
just from the little bit of stuff that we've swapped around, even though, you know, it's got a V8 in it with an iron block now.
V8, and then obviously you've gutted the interior bit, but you've added a roll cage, and obviously that adds weight, so.
It helped take a lot of it out. No, not yet. It's still set up, boost my gear and everything, so that's not even a good lick yet.
Oh, yeah?
Ready?
Yep. We didn't do that shit no more, bro. We were gone. That was badass, dude. Hell yeah. So one thing I'm noticing is the suspension on this car is really good for like street driving, considering like the power this car makes and everything. Like, what kind of suspension setup are we working with on this car?
So this car still uses all factory stock style suspension. The only thing we did is we put a set of Viking rear struts on the back, so we have a little bit of control.
You guys were mentioning about like possibly upgrading like the front struts and stuff for...
So I'm looking for a company or somebody that would be willing to partner with me on it, because I have probably 5 of these cars that want to do a set of these things, and I want to do like full custom actual race coilovers for the front.
All right, guys, so we're at an undisclosed location right now. He's about to do a 1-2 dig. Let's see how it goes. That's gonna look good on the GoPro there.
If only it would hook.
If only
It would hook. I had tracker hooks, so.
So how long did it take for you guys to put this car together?
This car's been a 4-year process. It started out with just like a simple run-of-the-mill, cheap as can be LS1 T56 stock ECU, you know, a bunch of red wires, like, and it just kind of went from there. So then it just slowly started getting upgraded, and we slowly ended up rewiring the car, and then I don't even know how it even came about to be like racing it, because we like to do the no prep stuff, and we started playing with it a little bit to get it to work, and then the next thing you know, man, we ended up getting Rob to go to the track one time with it. And after that, he got hooked, man. And then after that, it was like just dedicated, like, hey, we got to do this. Hey, we got to do this, you know. And it's been pretty cool, man. It's been an awesome process.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you been working at the shop for? What do you do in the shop?
I guess I'm essentially, I would say I'm just one of the master techs, man. I work pretty much side by side with Rob. We've been working and building on cars, and I do a lot more of the LS platform compared to how he does more of the Genesis stuff. So like when we just kind of put it together, we work on a little bit of everything, and then we started producing a bunch of these LS swap Genesis, so it's kind of cool, man.
So I gotta say, man, you guys have built one hell of a car here. This car is awesome. The dig was pretty cool, and then you did that 2 to 4 earlier, which that felt insane. And I can only imagine how much crazier this thing feels on the track. So thanks so much for the ride along, man. This is honestly intriguing.
Oh man, we appreciate you, man. It's awesome.
So right now, we did hold the Genesis world record, chassis record of the fastest Genesis in the world. We did.
Damn it, James.
And then we held that for a month or so, 2 months maybe.
Wasn't very long.
And then we got notified of a 2JZ swapped Genesis with a 4L80. Had gone 889, I believe it was. So although that was an automatic, we still hold the stick shift record at the moment. Although it being a stick shift, I'm not happy about it. I'm gonna go after that record. So obviously at FL2K, we plan on running better than an 889 just to be able to take that record back and hold the record again. We like holding the record.
Yeah.
The intercooler system is without the bumper, you'd be able to see it's one big intercooler, but it's actually been split into two. You know, you have one that's running one turbo, one that's running the other, all in the same intercooler. They just cross each other and then obviously come up and come together in the for the intake. The oil filter, or the oil filter relocation and oil cooler, it was all done because we can't run the oil filter down in the pan with these. The radiator setup, we just converted it over to 16 AN rather than your normal, you know, radiator hoses that you would run. And then obviously a custom fab 67, 66 Boost Lab turbos. The whole kit was made by Tampa Bay Welding and Machine Works. We use the Vulcan cut ring head gaskets to help seal the heads. Low-rise intake manifold, Holly. Then you got the fuel system. We're running right now 2 Dominator 1800s in it. We just changed over to the Bosch 210 injectors. We were running out of fuel. We were on FIC 1650s and on E85, we were getting to their limitation and couldn't bite the bullet of FIC 2200. So it was like, everyone's using these Bosch. Let's go with the Bosch. Boost is all being controlled with CO2, Motion Raceworks kit. It was about 24 pounds, 25 pounds of boost, and we've had it right around 1,200 horsepower now. And it makes like 1,100 foot-pound of torque. So it does make some torque. And then we got a Magnum, T56 Magnum F transmission using the Siki kit for the engine and the transmission, and the shifter relocation is all one of their kits. We got the Monster triple disc clutch. It was their most streetable clutch that they offered for the power level we're at, but then we had to get it reworked by Tampa Clutch because we burnt that out and actually ended up having to go to full ceramic plates. That seems to be working quite well now. We put a Genesis sedan subframe in the rear. Then we've modified it. It's got a Ford Explorer A8 rear differential, which is all solid mounted. Then we had to reach out to Drive Shaft Shop and beg them to make us a custom axles, which they did in the end. That took a few months, but they're holding up pretty well. And then we went and got a drag pack for a Mustang. Same bolt pattern as a Hyundai, luckily. Was able to, you know, get matching size front and back, 15s in the back with some editing to be able to fit a 15 in there, but it's 15 by 10. Running the Hoosier tires, the CO7 compound.
Yeah, CO7s.
28 by 10 and a half. So your typical what you're allowed to run in drag classes anyways. Is pretty much on the limitation with everybody else. That has been our biggest struggle by far is suspension. Keltrack set us up some rear shocks. We got some Viking rear shocks in the back. He said that he's been working on the front suspension. It's been over a year. Obviously, we've still been waiting and waiting and waiting. So outside of the rear shocks, it is 100% OEM suspension. Probably got 140,000 miles on said suspension. So we're struggling. We need somebody to work with us. And it's not just for our car. We have a couple of customers' cars that we need the exact same suspension for. We're in desperate need. To get faster in our 60 foot, we need suspension at this point. That's the weight transfer is just not happening good enough for us. So the roll cage was another battle that we went through. No one really wanted to do a roll cage for it, although I was willing to give them basically a bare car. And I was like, look, I need a roll cage. Like, you call them up, you tell them you got a Hyundai Genesis, and they're like, really? They don't understand what it is you're doing with it. Like you kind of, I don't want to say you get laughed at before they even realize what it is you're doing, but like not a lot of people know where we're at with the car, with the power that it's making and everything else. That no, we're serious, we need this stuff. But we finally found Cusco made this cage. It's a 10-point chromoly. No, sorry, it's an 8-point chromoly. We couldn't get a 10-point. They only do that in mild steel. It showed up with their, famous blue that they like to have, and then we custom painted it back to the green because I was like, it looked cool, but I was like, it needs to be green. The blue didn't work. But through the times, we've rewired the entire car. There's not a single Hyundai wire in this car. Everything that operates in this car, lights, it doesn't matter what it is, it's wires we've put in. And obviously we're using the Holley Terminator X. We got the input-output module, add-on. And then obviously, I don't know if you've seen the back side of the car, all our electronics are just in one spot. So if ever we got a problem, it's really easy to find.
All right, so you've mentioned that you do a lot of wiring stuff, right? And
Correct.
one thing I didn't see was the wiring work that you did back here with the ECU. So can you walk me through what you've done back there?
Yeah, we literally took every Hyundai wire out of this car and wanted to rewire the whole car so that we knew it was good. We know how everything's powered. We can diagnose problems very, very easily. We put our own fuse panels in the back using an arc relay to activate most of the stuff. Obviously, you have our power distribution, our ground distribution blocks, the Holley input-output module. The ECU we mounted down here because obviously we needed to mount it somewhere safe, somewhere accessible so we can still see the lights, which we are able to, but then close enough to the engine that it can run the engine still. But we wanted somewhere that we could keep all the wiring in one place. We're looking for an issue, we're looking for a fuse, we're looking for a relay, one spot.
So we didn't look at the trunk setup here. Do you mind showing us real quick what we got going on back here? We have I believe the fuel tank in the back.
This is the area that we've never really done any work to clean up to make pretty, or we never painted it black. Hyundai Welding Machine Works made us a fuel cell that we needed. Obviously we have our 2 feed lines that feed all 4 pumps. Then our return line, our breather that then goes down and under the back tire with a check valve in the system. Our battery cutoff, because running at the track, you have to have one. We used to be flex fuel, which is why we had the flex fuel put in. We had an issue with the flex fuel. There's no more flex fuel, but we use it to monitor the E85 content anyways, just so that we know we're good on our fuel system. We have our relays for our fuel pumps as close as we can from battery to the pumps are mounted right underneath this area anyways. And then obviously our fuses to keep everything safe, one going straight to the starter and alternator, the other one coming to the battery cutoff. That obviously turns all the electronics on the car off if something were to ever happen. Luckily, never has. The main people for this car, most of it was done in-house. Our original tuning and everything else, before obviously we started taking over the tuning, turning it up and everything else, but who originally did it back when we were making the 850 mark and everything around there, that was Cardwell Performance. They're great, Josh and Jacob over there, great people. Boost Lab, Ryan and Kurt at Boost Lab. They've hooked us up with the turbos in this. We run their turbos and everything. There's some great turbos. Tampa Bay Welding Machine Works, obviously, as I've said, all the fabrication in this car has been done by them. I've had other fabricators come in and do small stuff around the shop. None of them touch this car. This car always goes back to him. It's one of the badass cars that he's done, and it's pretty cool. Have we had anyone else really? That's like the main 3.
Other than me and you, bud.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Pretty much, yeah. That's all the people that have had a hand in this car. Yeah, I might be forgetting someone. If I am, I apologize. Just off the top of my head right now, I'm just not thinking of who else has really helped us with the car. Other than friends, friends helping us at the track and stuff like that. They're definitely the main people.